Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Volkner. For those of you unaware, that is a little in-joke from the stream. But yeah, we're going to be playing a 3 versus 3 on Lyakhavichy, and in this one I'm going to be playing with the 8th Indian Infantry, which is one of the new divisions available in the Tribute to the Liberation of Italy DLC, which is possibly the longest DLC name ever. But either way, I wanted to show this replay today just because it simply shows off some of the new Indian units, and let's see what we got down. So AZV IP Mark IIA is this little armoured car, comes with a boys anti-tank rifle and a Bren on top, and you can see the first of the Indian uniforms there. Very cool. There's also a 75mm SP Autocar M3. This main gun is actually pretty good at chewing down infantry, and also, of course, killing armoured targets, and then the 50 cal at the back is great fire support. But that's going to be followed up by 2 Indian rifles. There's going to be the Bofors there as well that I brought in at the start to protect against aircraft. I've got the Indian Scouts unloading there and an AZV, 2 more Indian rifles and 6-pounder, and on this side loads of Indian rifles, a couple of Gurkhas rifle leaders, a 6-pounder and a Sherman 5. So off we go. SBW 231 is going to get the better of one of my Indian rifles at the start there. Not a good start for me, but going to be trying to move up the AZV IP to try and get some sort of damage onto this 233. I purposefully moved it behind this building so that the 233 didn't have direct line of sight. I'm just going to hope that the 6-pounder can maybe do the job there, but it's really got to hit the target ASAP or it's actually going to get killed by the 233. AZV IP does actually end up going down. 6-pounder still struggling to get rid of that 233. I've already lost a lot of health on that, and it does go down, and I trade a 6-pounder for the 233. Not good. Not a good start for me at all. I believe the other ACV went down. The Boys 18 rifle is really not good at taking out German armoured cars. The Boys 18 rifle is very lackluster. It's got pretty low damage compared to the auto cannons that the Germans have. So we're off to a pretty rough start really, because my initial forces here kind of got taken out, the Indian Scouts and one of the rifles, and the 6-pounder went down, so I'm kind of ran out of forces here, just got the Indian rifles kind of holding the ground. On the left I'm being harassed by this 231, and I don't really have anything to deal with that other than the Sherman, but I'm a bit cautious about moving this up, mainly because there could be a bunch of stuff on the right that flanks us. Now, for anyone wondering, this is in fact a Canadian Sherman, so that's supporting the Indian troops today. You can see the Indian rifles here moving forwards, pushing into that house, and they're going to be backed up by this Gurkha's rifle leader. The Gurkha's rifle leader is actually quite nice because it does have the Thompsons and the Lee Enfields, which means it's pretty good at close range, and it has the smoke to back them up. I have put these on a hold position engagement order behind the house here. So like in the rules of engagement, if you bring them up on the right hand side, you can make it so that units don't auto cover, and that's what I've done there to make sure that they stay behind the building and not in the building, because if they're in the building, then the SBW 231 can actually see us. On this side, my SBW autocar looking for the kill onto either the Panzer IV or the 233. They're going to be having a go with that engagement, but unfortunately going to go down. These SBW or these SP autocars, they can be quite good against like light armor, but the main issue with them is their health is quite low. So you can see they got one shot in that situation, which is not ideal, and the AZV again gonna go down. Now the great thing about those AZVs is it's not too much of a concern if you lose them, because the main reason you bring them in is because of the Indian Scouts, and the Indian Scouts are a 4-man sniper team, which is really nice. So still have that alive there. On the left hand side, going to finally be able to take out one of the Pioneers, and I've slowly but surely been moving across the Sherman so that I can engage the 231. You see once again there, if they're in the building they can be shot at. I'd have to pull them back, but what I'm doing here is I'm letting them come under fire so that the 231 stays in its position and the Sherman 5 gets the kill. Indian Scouts do actually go down in the end, But you can see I am starting to amass some of the artillery in this division. The artillery in this division is pretty good. You can get quite a lot of it. I've got, I believe, 2 cards of the 114 mils in this division at the moment. And these 114 mils behave very much like 25 pounders, just with a little bit more power on them. 7.5 did try to engage the Panzer IV here, but you can see I had to fall back since the loader got killed. And I decided not to really risk the SB autocar again against a Panzer IV, since it didn't really work out too well on the hill. I have had games where these SB autocars do really well, but I think it's primarily at closer ranges where they can take advantage of their high rate of fire in order to get shots off. Well, not necessarily like super close range, because if you're at close range with another vehicle, then they'll also have high accuracy, but like sort of like the mid range. So this has a range of like 1,500. So if you're engaging at like 1,000 to 750, then there's still a chance the enemy will miss. And I mean, even if you miss your first shot, you've got the rate of fire to get the second shot in first, which is the most important thing. Since the Panzer IV was damaged here with a shot from the Sherman 5, I decided to go with some artillery onto it. And I'm also going to be bringing in some artillery here from this 107mm mortar. So I have got mortars as well. And those are going to help pin down infantry. That was the purpose of those, so that the Indian rifles can push forwards. Because in like British divisions and in this division, these rifle units are not like really great against something like Panzergrenz, for example, or just most high-tier German infantry can really just absolutely slap rifles. So the best way to deal with that infantry is by arting it beforehand so that it's actually pinned down, and then you kind of neutralize the effectiveness of those units and you can push forwards with your own units afterwards. So Indian rifles going to be engaging the Flammenwerfer. They got pushed out of the house there. I allow my Indian rifles just kind of like stand there and take that to the face so that they can kill the Flammenwerfer off. And I did manage to win the engagement against the Panzer Grenadiers in the open here, which is quite something actually, because usually a Panzergren with the 2 MGs would be fine in that situation. Did manage to get rid of the Panzer IV here, I believe, with the artillery strike, so that was really good. And you can see the 107mm mortars still coming down for a second strike in order to pin down this infantry. I brought up a couple more Indian scouts. And you can see that, yeah, the boy's AT rifle only has 2 damage. But in order to kill Panzer IV, got to penetrate like 5 times. Literally 5 times. Like, that is, yeah, not great. Regardless. We are off to a reasonable start now. Like, taking out the Panzer IV there is good. My artillery is really helping me sort of move forwards and secure some of these positions. We spot the Flammenwerfer as they engage the Indian rifles, so that's going to get taken out. And the Indian scouts as well, also really helping out there. Artillery is smashing the MG42. I've also got the Sherman 5 across the ridge here to help out. So it seems like Silke here, he moved forwards like quite a lot of these Flammenwerfers initially to take the ground. But just due to like sheer numbers, it's going to be very difficult for those Flammenwerfer to find any value. Generally, I think that Flammenwerfer are better rushed forwards, either supplemented with other troops nearby that are close range, or just in forests, like multiple of them in forests, not just like 1 or 2 squads at a time. Because if you do have 2 squads, what you can do is kind of like ping pong the enemy squad around, because they can't stand still. Those Indian rifles going to have to fall back. These ones do get taken out by the MGs, these fanatical Panzergrens from the 12th SS. They are tough to take care of. I'm going to be moving up the SB autocar to help deal with that. The 50 cal and the main gun can fire away. That main gun's going to be hitting Panzergrens on this side, and I'm going to be using the mortars to hit that. So, yeah, you can see that I'm kind of using 114mm artillery to hit my vehicles, and areas that I'm going to advance with vehicles. And then I'm kind of using the mortars to pin down enemy infantry. So good kill there. The Sherman takes out one of the armoured cars. The 17-pounder took out another. The Sherman's quite happily moving up there at that range with 2-star vet. More or less 100% accuracy, so no chance that's getting away. And just like the SB auto car, those armoured cars, they go down very quickly indeed, because they don't have the right health. Still firing away over to the right hand side there. We have managed to secure this town flag, which starts on his side of the map, so it's up to him to push us off this. But I'm also, of course, putting a little bit of pressure onto this flag by killing the infantry here. And those infantry are probably being spotted by the Indian Scouts or the AZV IP. This thing has very high optics. It's not as good, I was going to say, as the Indian Scouts, but it is actually. It shares the same optics, so that's why that's able to spot it just as well. I was just thinking that was a little bit far away, but yeah, that would be why. Anyway, MG42 going to be taking the shots there from the artillery. And yeah, like I said, these are more or less like better 25-pounders. They don't really have the same sort of splash as the bigger caliber 140s or 150s, but they do a lot of damage, like the 6.1 damage there. If they hit the mark, they're going to do well. I bring up some more Indian rifles and some more Gurkhas rifles this time. They're going to be pushing in towards this objective since we have moved into phase B. I also brought up a second Bofors just to make sure that I do have some counter to any airplay. 17-pounder snuck up on the left side here, pulled it round the edge of the house, got the kill onto the Panther D at a distance, which is nice. Definitely takes away one of the pieces in the puzzle that Silka will need to push back. Now we see the Verflammen come in. This is always what you don't like to see when you're playing against 12th SS. It's the Verflammen. These 380mm rockets absolutely decimating my SB auto car there. Bad times. Ideally though, the Verflammen should go for the 17-pounder. I was kind of lucky in this regard that he didn't, because if he can get rid of the 17-pounder, then he can use his armoured support better to push back into the town. We do have a lot of 17-pounders though. I believe I have like 3 cards of 17-pounders on my deck. So yeah, we have no lack of those. Panzer IV, going to take a transmission damage. And we've managed to almost take out a unit opposite us with the Indian rifles there. That's great. I'm just going to continue to push on forwards. Here are the Gurkhas rifles. Moving into the building there. They've got 3 Thompsons, the 7 Lee Enfields, and the 2 Brens. Pretty damn good squad at close range, actually. Because of those 3 Thompsons, they have really good DPS. I've managed to pin down the Panzergrenz. You can see my artillery is being spread out a bit now so that I can help pin down all of these units as I move forwards. And this will be really, really frustrating for the enemy to deal with. Because unless they counter battery me, there isn't really much way he can deal with these guns. And since he's probably relying a lot on the Verflammens in the 12th SS, it's unlikely he has a lot of long-range artillery that can deal with the now 4 114mm that I have. I've also brought up the 2-inch carriers now. These are really, really nice fire support for town engagements and like kind of heavy forest engagements where you have like light forest nearby. Because the light forest would hide the 2-inch carrier, and then it would allow you to get within the 540-meter range you need to indirect fire. Because 2-inch mortar carriers can indirect fire now, where they couldn't. Well, they couldn't before. I say that as if it was like a change that happened recently when it really wasn't. It's been the case for a little while now, but once upon a time, 2-inch mortar carriers couldn't fire indirectly. Neither could any 2-inch mortar. Pack 40 though, going to take care of the Sherman 5, which is a bit unfortunate. And this Bofors is going to be harassed by the half-track, but the Bofors with 2-star veterancy should be fine to deal with that. I've also got the Gurkha's rifles now pushing through here with some artillery that came in to help them out. You can see the last round now coming in. That's pinned down the units that were in the cover here and will potentially allow me to surrender them if I get close enough. Number 5 again going to go down though. I think that got killed by the Pack 40 as well, so that was a bit silly of me. Sherman 5 mowing down these Sturmpires as they run away. Our likelihood was that I gave that an attack move order and then started looking at the left hand side instead, but with the artillery now coming in, we should make short work of that Pack 40. You see with the adjustment of the front line you can more or less tell that that's dead. So now the Panzer IV going to be the next target of the artillery. It's taking the transmission damage, but I don't think it was actually penetrated when it got that crit. I think that was probably just the Sherman bouncing off it. It's Tiger on the left here, going to be having a go at shooting into the town. And it's just about getting cover in time. But yeah, the 17-pounder, I think already hit this once. If you zoom in on vehicles, you can see, like, if the texture's changed, how much damage roughly they've taken. But in this case, the Tiger's probably taken the 8 damage from the 17-pounder and will have like 4 health left. Because heavy tanks have 12 health. Medium tanks have 10 health. Gurkha's rifles going to have to run away from the Pioneers. As good as Gurkha's rifles can be at close range, specialized close range infantry is still better. The flamethrowers and the HE grenades always going to do more work. Oh, sorry, I think I said these were 380 mil earlier, but they're actually 280 mil. And so there's going to be aiming that towards my 17-pounder. 17-pounder's having a fun time shooting these half-tracks in the open though. One of them has already gone down, probably with the infantry inside. Mike wasn't paying attention there. And while the Verflammen in the end doesn't fire, so quite happy about that, or at least it hasn't yet. Right, Indian rifles on the left hand side do manage to find and kill a Panzerschreck, but they do go down themselves. Indian scouts trying to move up. I'm just trying to get them into the edge of the town here so that I can put them on return fire and provide myself with the recon information I need further up. Mortar fire does come in and take out my Sherman, probably because my Sherman was already low on health. But yeah, we're doing okay. We've got our offensive objective in the town. I'm just kind of working on getting towards this train station. Meanwhile on the map, Mickey's kind of fighting over the hill with Mike and Crow a little bit there, and then Crow's managed to push in against Sturmsource on the right hand side. So we have lost a couple flags on this side, which is why currently we're actually at a disadvantage in the game. It's 12 to 14. Mortar fire now coming in from the enemy on this side. They've had a couple of mortar carriers here for a while. They were harassing me throughout my engagements, which was frustrating to deal with. But of course, I can't really say much when I have 4 of these 114mm artillery pieces and the 2 107s. The 107s now getting resupplied so that I can use them and continue to use them in these infantry engagements. 17-pounder going to be shifting up there. Blast one of those half tracks. There's a bunch of them coming down the road right now. Gonna get 2 of them, and the other ones are going to be forced to unload and do a runner. Take out the 3rd with the 3rd shot there. With the Gurkha's rifle leader nearby with the veterancy from the Indian Dingo. This is my commander. That's doing a great job of providing the extra veterancy, and the accuracy and rate of fire going up on those 17-pounders is always a good thing. Very powerful AT gun. So new rifle leader now being brought in. I was making sure to have a rifle leader with every 17-pounder because it's really key that those 17 pounders hit the first or second shot that they fire, because if they miss, then most of the time they're just going to get artied and die, because they're not very fast, right? They can't run away from that artillery fire. So yeah, sucks. But if you can get the veterancy high, generally you can get a hit in and get the kill onto what you want, and just kind of like trade the AT gun favourably. Gurkhas, I managed to push up into the station here, kill the Panzer IV that's going to grab us this flag. And my Gurkhas rifles here have managed to push through and kill off a Panzergren, which was probably already weak from previous engagements. So we're now 14 to 12 in our favour, and any flags we capture back on the right hand side will only help us secure the lead. So 17 pounder being allowed to fire as the smoke is clearing. I was hoping to make sure that these Panzerguns were pinned down so the 17 pounder didn't take any damage. Let's take out one of the Tiger E's, the one that was damaged. And now I'm going to be going for the second one. Rate of fire here, really important. These Tigers don't have any veterancy. You see they only have 5 round per minute rate of fire. So able to take out both of those with some awesome shots from the 17 pounder there. Here comes some more rockets. The Verflammen coming in. And that's going to be landing straight on top of my 17 pounder and the rifle leader. The rifle leader going down. 17 pounder surviving for now. But I assume that there was some form of recon here that was spotting the 17 pounder on the ridge, or maybe he saw me bring it up here. Managed to pop the SBW-233 with the Gurkha's rifles at close range. That was really good. And Sherman 5 is going to clip another 2511. It's great because I'm killing off a lot of his infantry before he's unloading it, just catching it out by continuously moving forwards and being aggressive. Getting these AT guns and tanks into line of sight of the reinforcement roads. Yeah, very important indeed. The new rifle leader going to be coming in now for the 17 pounder. The plan with the 17 pounder was to sneak it up into the edge of this tree line so that I could pop the Panther at close range. Like at close range, there's no way the Panther's going to defeat a 17 pounder because the 17 pounder will have really good accuracy and the Panther D's HE shells are really not that strong. So yeah, the machine gun could maybe try and pin it down, especially since machine guns on tanks now do more suppression. Yeah, with a rifle leader providing 2-star vet behind it, well, that's a different story. But just being cautious not to necessarily over push right now and just secure my position. So the 107 mortars are going to be peppering this location with mortar fire so that we can potentially clean that out. And I'm also kind of paying attention to what's going on elsewhere on the map. Panther D does push up the hill. Gonna force my Canadian Shermans to fall back. Can't take on a Panther like that head on. The only way that I'm going to be able to kill it is, well, with arty or with the Gurkha's rifles if they can get close. Probably should have got the 4.2 inch mortars at this point to smoke, because if I'd smoked here, the Gurkha's rifles could have moved through the light cover without an issue. The only issue, I guess, with smoking the area is it would have given away my plan. That's the trouble I do find with smoke quite a lot. Say you want to use smoke to cover your infantry pushing forwards, like that's great and all, but people are going to know it's coming and also will drop bombs and artillery into it. So yeah, I guess technically you could like kind of bait it, so if you fired in the smoke and then your opponent brought in like a bomber or something or artillery onto that area, that would be a waste of resources for them, and then the second time round you actually go for the attack. Like that would be way better. Now artillery is coming in hot here. You can see that I think it was Sherman 5 managed to side shot the Panther. The Panther took damage amongst all that engagement. Gurkha's rifles did manage to get some good damage there onto the Pioneers, Bomber is going to come in and kill one of the squads, but the other one does survive to make sure they were spread out. Enemy mortar fire still coming in, by the way, hitting my 17 pounder. I had to make sure I kept moving this because every time I fire with one, it's going to get targeted. And that's one thing I'd actually recommend. If you're ever using AT guns, make sure to move them after you've fired, because 9 times out of 10, if your opponent has mortars, they're going to try and mortar it. If they have fighter bombers, they're going to try and bomb it, basically, right? So just make sure you move them immediately. And it's particularly the case when it comes to more expensive AT guns, things like Pak 40s, Pak 43s, 17 pounders in this case. People will prioritize killing those off because they are very deadly guns. So on the right, I'm finally bringing in some troops. I've got a 17 pounder on the way. And I'm also going to be bringing in these Indian field engineers. The idea with these was to just secure these trees so that Sturm could focus on taking back the open ground. Gurkha's rifles engage the panzer guns here. The Indians in general don't really deal too well with open range engagements because they are so reliant on these 17 pounders, which is why I'm kind of making sure that I do the close range here near the forest, and then I'm bringing in the 17 pounders to kind of like support as backup in the light cover. So this one's just going to defend the respawn road on the right, and it will also potentially have line of sight onto these Stug should they try and retreat. Focke-Wulf 190 moving up. Oh, here comes the Hurricane. Let's watch this. This is one of the new Hurricanes, the Hurricane Mark IV with the 40mm cannons. Managed to get a lovely kill there onto the Stug 3, much to Crow's dismay. Nice. The lovely thing about these Hurricane Mark IVs is they do have medium resilience, since they have a metal airframe. Sherman 5s currently just chilling further up. Quite a precarious place for them to be. It's not really the best spot. I should have probably moved them back into cover at least. Here comes the Hurricane Mark IV looking for the kills onto those transports, but Bro, make sure to have them unload. Beltro looks for the kill onto the Hurricane, but unable to find it. And finally, I am being counter-batteried. You see my 107 there did die on the left-hand side. The F-109 G4B trying to intercept the Spitfire. Spitfire is going very deep right now to try and find that fight. But I, of course, do need to focus elsewhere. You can see that I've got these Rekis with the 2-inch carriers just sitting about. And I've got some field engineers now on the way to secure this heavy cover. Okay, if I can maintain control of this area, then I should also be able to maintain control of the Sherman. Stug 3 does go down to the 17 pounder that I brought in, so that was really, really good. And I've also now got a Sherman to help on this right side. Spitfire does go down. I think I actually ended up forgetting about it after it went off after those aircraft. Yeah, with another Sherman joining the fray on the right hand side, no way these could be going to be getting closer anytime soon. So 2 field engineers going to be moving in there with the Gurkha's rifles. And as I was stating near the start of the game, this is kind of how you should use some flamers as well. You should have like a proper squad, like a good 10-11 man squad, and then you supplement it with flamers. You don't just have the flamers on their own, because that just means that you can get overwhelmed by enemy numbers, which is something you want to try and avoid. So those field engineers are just going to stay in their jeeps on purpose so that they are ready to drive in and reinforce. But Verflamen are going to come in hot and do a lot of damage there. Takes out 2 of my Shermans. 17 pounder has found line of sight though onto the Tiger here without being in line of sight of the Guila. So we're going to be trying to pop that best I can. See if I can get the last shot off. There we go, another Tiger down. Gurkha's rifles have died. Also, my 2 Bofors here, they are now 3-star better at sea with the commander leader I always have my boosters at 1 vet, so they're now 3 vet. And that means 2 of these Focke-Wulfs can very easily shoot down those Focke-Wulfs, as you can see. More Focke-Wulfs coming in here, though, for your boy Mike. Oh, that's a lovely couple bombing strikes. Absolutely demolished those Brazilian troops. I'm now bringing in field engineers that can help Sturmsource maintain or take back control of this tree line. Because with this under Sturmsource's control, he can cover the right road that comes up onto this hill, and he can also cover this hill, which would stop the blue team from capturing this flag. So we could push that back and take it off them. Another 2-inch carrier goes down. For the most part, I was using these 2-inch carriers to be my recon. They do have the very high optics with the low amount of armor. So decent against like light arms fire and can move it forwards quite a lot, but when you bump into things like tigers and panthers, well, those things pop pretty fast. So here go the Indian field engineers pushing through the forest, and we're going to be engaging some Gebirgsstreifer. Goodbye to them. Bunch of off-map behind here. 2 170mm and a 210. So I'm going to be getting my next lot of assault pioneers to move up, and these are going to be moving into the left-hand side. So field engineers are the ones with the TNT, assault pioneers are the ones with the flamethrower. That's what I'm now bringing up to help us out. Currently 17-9 with us securing the left side, and our team now kind of catching up with a little bit of help. It is definitely swinging the tide of this game well in our favour. But I believe I've showed off most of what the 8th Indian has to offer. The only thing that I didn't really make much use of in this game is the Humbers. Now in Phase C I do have a card of Humbers, which actually gives you I think 18 on a card. And these can be really good at taking out half-tracks and light armoured vehicles. So if you're struggling with a number of those in the late game, for example if you're up against a division that relies on a lot of half-tracks, having a bunch of these Humbers around is really nice, because you can have the Humbers focus on the half-tracks whilst your medium armour deals with other tanks or enemy infantry. So yeah, that's what the Humber Mark IVs are really good for, because Humbers suck against infantry. I mean, technically their machine gun can pin down quite well now because of the tank suppression changes on their main guns, which does also affect armoured vehicles in general. But yeah, IS-2 now on the field for Sturmsource, and he's going to be using that as the anchor for his counter-attack. He's going to just spanking this Pat 40 on the hill there. Field engineers trying to help deal with these Breda, because there was quite a lot of AA. But your boy Mike going to be coming in with the Alcione bombers, and I'm going to reply with some Spitfire Mark 5s. Beautiful. Now looking for the kill onto the Focke-Wulf 190. Do trade 1 Spitfire for that kill. But a nice spectacular finish. 33 minutes and 22 seconds as the points tick over. And in the end we got 2,630 kills to 1,480 losses. So not the best KD on the team. Mickey probably doing a little bit better there with 3,290 kills to 1,600 losses. Sturmsource had a hard time with his third guards on the right. Crow pushed him in pretty hard with the 5th Gebirgs. But look at this 17-pounder. What a beaut. That was the one in the town on the left. We managed to take out the Panther D and 2 Tiger E's with that by sneaking it through the back gardens. Super, super important that we made that work, because with all this extra fire support, it's not too difficult for Panzergrens to just line up and charge across the open into a town. Like, because whenever you engage them, like you open up and then a hail of shells come in from the tanks that they're watching, and it can be really, really annoying to deal with. And you'd have to like fall back deeper into the town, which means you lose the ground. In this case, on that town, that wouldn't have been too much of a problem, because falling back would have been advantageous for us anyway, since he was using Panzergrens, and then the Panzergrens at close range kind of suck at the moment. So yeah, it probably would have been fine either way. But if you take out the 17-pounders, they are the key. And I think Silka maybe had a little bit of a problem with prioritizing his 280mm Werframmen properly. Because if he'd focused more on the 17-pounders, he could have allowed his Panthers and Tigers to deal with any other armor that's left, like all these Shermans, for example. Like, he didn't need to use Pack 40s or the Werframmen to kill Shermans when he had Panthers available. You use the Werframmens and the Pack 40s as, like, well, I guess the Pack 40s can be used to kill Shermans, that's fine. But the Werframmen you'd use to kill the support weapons so that your bigger tanks can move forwards and kill the Shermans, right? So you're not wasting a utility that can be put on something else, and then you can bring in something that is specialized for killing Shermans, for example. If you guys kind of get what I mean, like, it's a bit of a waste of resources using the Werframmen when you can use a Panther, basically. So yeah, regardless, a fun game, and we definitely had a little bit of a difficult start. But hopefully that shows off a bit of the 8th Indian for you. We got to see the Hurricane in action just briefly, which is nice. I quite like that aircraft. The 40mm guns on that are pretty good. I didn't show off the Boston bombers that you can get, but I think they're already in the game. And of course, we did get to see the Spitfires. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else we missed. I don't think so, other than maybe the off-map. But the off-map's pretty weak. So there you have it. That's the 8th Infantry. I will obviously be continuing with more gameplays of the rest of the divisions in the latest update or latest DLC, tribute to the liberation of Italy. Quite a mouthful. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.